I'm now joined by the political commentator, Marina Purkiss, who, as I understand it, Marina, you don't think the cultural wars really exist? You think they're essentially a right-wing...
Oh, no, I think they exist because people like you and your party in government, they desperately need them to exist because what else are you going to win the next election on?
So they're not coming from people who want to pull roads down or want to edit Roald Dahl. Isn't there a battle of ideas that is going on that sometimes get expressed in extreme form?
So what I think's happened is it's a distraction technique. So don't get me wrong, I think any calls to rewrite Roald Dahl, for example, or to rename a street. By the way, the street renaming, if we go into that, it was called Black Boy Lane. You know, that was why they renamed the street. I think that's fair enough. If you had a street named, you know, White Trash, you might want to rename it. But I think what's happening here is you're drawing attention to these things that actually don't impact people's lives. And the reason you're doing that is because otherwise people might just focus on the real grievances in their life, which are basically caused by your government.
But doesn't no platforming actually affect people's lives? Because freedom of speech is absolutely essential for the political discussion that we're going to have.
Jacob, do you know what really impacts people's lives? And I really would just ask your viewers, you probably dislike me if you know who I am, but just ask your viewers to think about what really impacts their life. Is it Roald Dahl being rewritten, which, by the way, I don't think it should be? Is it the renaming of a street? Is it, I don't know, some woke policy? Is that really what's harming people? Or is it the concern that they are going to be waiting for an ambulance and dying? Is it the concern that their children are getting a poor education? Is it the concern that we've got the highest energy bills on the planet?
But isn't this why you should stand up for freedom of speech? Because if you attack freedom of speech in some areas, you're then putting the government in control of the agenda. You're deciding politicians should...
Mr. Freedom of Speech here, did you or did you not vote to stop people protesting if it was annoying?
Well, there are limits on protest, but
so
public
free speech,
protest
so long as I'm okay with it.
No, public protest is a very important part of freedom of speech, and the laws that have been introduced are to get the balance right between people going about their daily lives. That's perfectly reasonable.
You tell me how freedom of speech is going to make people's lives better in this country after it's been decimated by things like your Brexit.
Because it's really important, because it allows you to come on this programme and make your case.
Sorry, me making my case on this programme,
yes,
which I'll never come back on, is just so that people understand that this is not going to help them. Freedom of speech is not going to help you pay your bills. It's not going to put food on the table. It's not going to feed your kids.
But it allows you to make the argument that you're making.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So fundamentally
All
important.
I'm here to do is to draw attention to the fact that what you do
that is freedom of speech. So it's really important to defend freedom of speech and protect it.
Your freedom of speech, all you do is you use your platform. And I can't believe you do this. Like, you were born into a life of privilege, Jacob.
No.
And you decided to be a con man, to lie to people who trust
I use my platform so that people like you have freedom of speech too, because I think it's really important.
I don't need you to defend
that you
my
can
freedom
make
of speech.
make your
I need
case.
you to be in a position of
But
government.
the left don't like this, do they? That's why people are trying to stop this lady going to the Oxford Union.
I just realised it was a decent person, not some massive lefty. I just realised what you lot are doing in government is disgusting. And you lie, and you've got no contrition for what you've done to people. Your Brexit, do you care?
Well, people voted for Brexit. That's democracy.
Of course they did. I'm surprised I didn't vote for Brexit.
You think you know better than the British people?
I think you lied to people and they believed you.
I think the British people are more intelligent than that. The British people weighed up Brexit.
Are you telling me they should have known you were a liar?
I wasn't a liar.
So when you said to them...
All you're doing is mere abuse. You're not making any arguments.
Tell me how I'm wrong. OK, tell me I'm wrong. Let me ask you a question. When you said to people that Brexit was going to bring cheaper food...
It will.
Clothes, footwear and drink. So it will.
All this is in progress. Joining the CTPPP, the free trade deal with Australia, the free trade deal with New Zealand, all of these are bringing in lower tariffs on food coming into this country. This is already in the pipeline. What do you
think is going to happen at the end of this year when those full Brexit checks are going to come into play? Do you remember the ones this time last year you said were an act of self-harm?
Yes, I stopped them. That's right.
They're coming in this year.
Well, there is no reason.
What's going to happen then?
There is no reason to bring those in. Those should be stopped again.
They're coming
in.
That's the Brexit.
The government can stop that. No, not at all. That is. If the government wishes to put those controls on, that is an act of a democratic government. Do I think they're foolish? Yes, of course I do. That's why I tried to stop them, succeeded in stopping them last year. I'm not in government, I'm a member of the Conservative Party.
That is the Brexit.
But why is it that food inflation is higher in the EU average than it is in the UK. We're doing better than the EU.
Why don't you compare us? Because I saw the other day you compared us to Austria for inflation. Great comparison there, Jacob.
It is a great comparison.
Oh, wonderful. Why on earth...
Our food inflation is lower than Germany.
Why would you compare us to Austria, who have the highest inflation, one of the highest inflations in the world, and also their GDP is in the billions, ours is in the trillions. Why then would you...
Our food inflation is lower than Germany.
Why?
So actually, I'm happy to take a variety of comparisons. Why Austria? Austria is renowned for its economic caution. There's a whole school of Austrian economists who are famous for economic caution.
Why don't you compare us to other comparable countries in the G7? Tell your viewers why our food costs are soaring and why they're going to continue to soar.
Our food costs are rising by less than the average for the EU and less than by Germany. So that's not too bad, is it?
No, it's going up. Why are our energy bills the highest on the planet?
Well, when I was in government, we made the biggest intervention to help people with their energy bills.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Why are they the highest on the planet?
The energy bills in the UK have gone up because of our green policies.
Oh, okay.
That has led to a very significant increase.
Nothing to do with the Conservative failures year after year after year.
It's nothing to do with Brexit.
No, I'm not blaming Brexit for that.
No,
actually.
absolutely nothing to do with Brexit. But what was I trying to do? I was trying to reduce prices by fracking, by shale gas.
Fracking. Oh, here we go again. Here we go
Using our resources.
Fracking. Do you want to tell people how long it would take to get any sort of benefit from fracking and how teeny tiny that benefit would be and the fact that it would do absolutely nothing?
Oh, we're potentially sitting on trillions of cubic feet of gas underneath us. I'm not. There are very good geological studies showing this.
Do you genuinely believe your lies?
All you say when you disagree is that somebody is lying. But this isn't a proper political argument.
You've been proven time and time again. And you never say, do you know what? I'm really sorry. I told you that everything was going to be better and cheaper, and it's not.
You disagree with me, but that's not the same as somebody lying. Disagreement is perfectly reasonable.
Sorry, if you promise something and it doesn't materialise, that's a lie.
What I promised about tariffs on food is true. They are being reduced with the free trade agreements that we've been negotiating.
Should we revisit that at the end of this year when your act of self-harm comes into play?
Well, that would be madness if the government does that, and I shall oppose that very strongly.
Okay, let's go.
Why would the government?
Let's go back to woke, right? Because we want to talk about woke culture wars. I read your fascinating article with Frost in The Telegraph. That's a great person to partner with, by the way.
It is. He's a very great man, very distinguished figure. Responsible, wise, good.
Shoddy deal that now no one likes, by the way. No one's happy with this.
No, he did.
So well done. Great partner.
He got out of the European Union. He did a good negotiation with the EU.
Literally no one is happy with this. Brexiteers are not happy with this deal.
Well, I don't think that's right. Okay. I think the Brexiteers are very happy that we're out of the European Union.
You talked about how anti-woke policies are going to help recover the country. White is recovering, right? Your guess is as good as mine. Now, how are your anti-woke policies going to help restore the economy, for example? Explain it.
Well, we want supply-side reform. We want the economy to get to higher levels of growth.
And this is really
important. We don't want people distracted by all the wokeness. We've got only a small amount of time. Well, as we were discussing earlier, the £140,000, small amount of money in itself, being wasted by the Cabinet Office. That's part of the point.
140. Yeah, but sorry, are we talking about fixing the economy? And you've just quoted 140,000
I'm talking about things that are symptomatic of the problems of the waste within the government.
When Jacob talks about deregulation, that's a big thing. You're all about deregulation. What Jacob is talking about is scaling back your workers' rights and consumer rights.
I'm afraid we're going to have to draw this to a conclusion, but you're wrong on that because our employment rights all predate the European Union by and large.
2011.
But unfortunately, we've got to go straight to the weather. We've overrun. But the sun will no doubt be shining in Somerset, and it'll be a special, nice weather there.